Welcome back to Q&A with S&A. I'm Andrea.
And I'm Shane.
And today we're joined by Shaun de Vries from Open Pantry Co. Welcome to the podcast studio, Shaun.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you, and I'll let the listeners know you're not in the studio with us today. You're actually at home. You are in Adelaide, right? The city of churches.
Indeed. I love how people always say that from outside of Adelaide, but no one in Adelaide says that at all. So I sit here with a crow scarf in the background because I'm very, very excited.
Keep a lid on it.
Since 2017, where I cried in a pub in Richmond because I was so confident the Crows were going to beat Richmond, and that was one of my worst days. But so I'm very, very excited sitting from Adelaide to talk with you guys today.
Well, sitting on top of the ladder as we speak. So yes, dislodged my team who was on top of the ladder until this week. So,
okay, you've got to let us have the chance to win a premiership again, I think. So
yeah,
I don't know that you'll get away with that.
I think the Crows are travelling better than we are at the moment. So they're my pick, to be honest. I reckon the Crows are the team to beat.
Yeah. No, and you know what? In our family, Shaun, there's a thing. Our son Jacob will always say if his dad says anything about Collingwood, it's like, oh no, they're going to win it, and Jacob will turn around and say, "Shut up, Dad! Like you're going to put the Moz." Yeah. So he's done that deliberately. It's now on record that he's said that Adelaide are going to do well, and that will be it for your season. So I apologise in advance. Yep. Sorry. Yeah. So you're obviously a football fan then.
Yes, big time. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's probably my biggest passion outside of family and that kind of stuff, and obviously what we do for work is definitely football.
Yep. So Adelaide supporter, did you grow up playing football, or is it just something that you love?
No, weirdly no. So I did at school and stuff like that, but not professionally. Because I'm 6'3" and quite solid and broad shoulders and whatnot. When people meet me for the first time, they'll often say, like, do you play basketball or football? And I'll say, no, I'm too uncoordinated for that. And they get it's funny when people get really depressed, the fact you haven't used your height for a sport which they've never seen you play. So it's pretty funny like that. But no, just at school, I played with a couple of people who went on to play AFL at school, which was pretty cool. But nothing to write home about at all. Yes.
Yeah. So no sport in your, you don't casually play pickleball or anything like that now that that's a really big thing?
No, I know someone who owns the paddle brand in Melbourne, but not pickleball. So we had this conversation about pickle and paddle. But I used to play a lot of golf up until I started working full time pretty much. And then it's where my golf went pretty poor. But golf was probably the biggest thing that I did as a sport when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on that. So we're probably digressing already.
No digressing.
So with golf, I used to play a lot of I used to play a lot of golf, and I blame Andrew for why I don't play golf anymore. Because we got together, and since we got together, I don't play anymore. Do you still play casually?
Yes.
So do you feel frustrated when you go out in the course and you can't maybe hit the scores that you used to be able to hit when you were much younger?
Oh, every single time. There's no one I'm more hard on than myself, and golf is the reflection of when I'm most hard on myself. So because you remember that time you did a 280 meter drive, stuck your second 3 foot from the pin and got it in for three. But no, I have to be content with where I am and how good I am. So I'm okay, but I certainly do not promote that I used to be, nearly as great a golfer in my teens.
See, I'm the one where I don't play anymore because I just get too frustrated now because I knew what I could do, and I'm nowhere near it. So I just the temperament's not there is probably part of it. So. Yeah.
You've crossed the line and I'm just before that line.
Yes, correct, yes.
That's probably an age-related thing as well. I reckon Shane's probably a little bit older than you, so I think I think so.
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about Shaun. We've talked about now. We've gone into it. It wasn't a digression. It was just a jump over the line. Tell us a little bit about Shaun and where you are now and how you got there.
Born and bred in South Australia. Mm-hmm. Lived here till I was about 28. Probably before that, I started out in hospitality when I was about 16. I'd done some part-time jobs in different stuff before that, but always wanted to be a chef. Could never get a chef apprenticeship. Went for multiple interviews at the Hyatts and Hiltons and that kind of stuff, and they just wouldn't take me when I was 15. So I became a baker's assistant when I was 16 at Bakers Delight. That was opening up down the road from me. This is the late 90s. So Bakers Delight had about 200 bakeries across the country at that point.
Yep.
Did year 12, didn't really know well, I knew I wanted to work in food. I think my parents were always wanted to support me, but probably a bit disappointed I didn't go to university. I was, really good at maths, really good at other subjects, and but I didn't want to do academia or anything like that. I just wanted to work in food every day. So I went full time at the bakery I was working at. They grew their businesses and bought some more. I managed one of those when I was 19, 20. Then I got the opportunity at 21 to buy a Bakers Delight franchise that the franchise all owned. I did that for a lot of money. My parents put in a capital third, and I went to the bank and was able to secure a loan.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is really, really great. So they had no day-to-day money that was in the business. They just owned a capital third of the business.
Yeah.
And I did all the running costs. I worked 80 to 100 hours a week for, probably 4 years, I reckon.
Yep.
Somehow had a girlfriend at the same time. And there was a franchisee who unfortunately went bankrupt. He owned 5. And he went bankrupt. And that meant that all his businesses were all of a sudden on the market.
Yeah.
And because there were 5 at one time, they're at fire sale price.
Yeah.
So I got a bakery that was probably a third or a quarter of the price. Was able to secure a loan through another bank. So my original bank wouldn't lend me the money. I secured it through another bank and did that. So I went from working 80 to 100 hours a week to probably working 60 hours a week, but working over 2 bakeries, putting sales managers in place, putting bakery managers in place. All of a sudden I had a team of probably 30 to 40 and I was 25, 26. And that was the funny bit was I never thought about my age at that point. I just thought about how hard I was working and that kind of stuff. I'm sure that, my parents are proud and my siblings are proud and all these people would, wow, look what Shaun's done. But I wouldn't have got there unless my parents gave me a capital third for the business. So I always knew that I was just working in order to pay them back. So did that, had 2 bakeries, were going pretty well. I had a relationship breakdown in that time. I'd started to drink a bit. I was going out a bit more. And one night I went out with an ex-baker and we got a bit too drunk. When I say a bit too drunk, I'm being polite. We left in his car for some reason. So certain parts of this night I don't remember. So we left this particular nightclub in his car to, I think, go to another nightclub in the city. So it's on the outskirts of Adelaide. And he had a car accident that put us into a tree at about reportedly 120 to 130 kilometres. And we hit a tree at about, probably about 3 metres off the ground. So we basically launched off a medium strip and launched into a tree. I took 70 to 80% of that crash because the car sort of turned as it maneuvered through the air. And I had all upper body injuries and couldn't use my hands, couldn't use my arms, was intensive care for a week and then stepped down ward for 2 weeks. So 3 weeks in 3 weeks in hospital. He had all lower body injuries. I had all upper body. Had to learn how to eat again, walk again, all those different things that you think of. I had these 2 businesses that luckily I built some foundations of management in, but I couldn't physically bake for a year.
Yep.
In that time, I realized how much the 80 hours a week that I was working cost if you pay someone else to do it.
Yes.
And I just burnt through too much cash. So by the time it was basically about 2 weeks after the year anniversary that I put them into voluntary liquidation, I had been in talks with the new bank that we had refinanced with, and about 3 months before we had refinanced to build the debt out so the payments would be less and have more cash flow. I'd rang every single creditor who all had personal guarantees against my name, not against the business, against me, and said, this is situation, I'm in the shit. Sorry, can we swear on your podcast?
Absolutely.
Go for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I really was. And they said, just keep us updated.
Yeah.
Put into liquidation, appointed a really good liquidator, rang Bakes Delight, told them. They decided, so they have all control at that point.
Yes.
Yep.
So they're the head lessee, right? So they closed down the smaller one. We continue to operate the other one. I worked with my accountant at the time to start a new business name. We basically moved the trading to that new business. All the staff who were no longer going to work in the new business I found jobs for within the network, so no one lost their job.
Right.
Everyone got paid their super. Everyone got paid their entitlements, and we basically traded this new entity in one of the existing bakeries for another 6 months until Bakes Delight had found a new franchisee because they had full control. So I'd lost everything.
Yeah.
They found a new franchise partner. I had paid off about 70 to 80% of the debt to the personal guarantees. So the people who supplied us flour, the people who supplied us packaging, all that stuff. And all those people wiped their debt and allowed me to leave the business with owing them some money, but not a lot. And that was because I had personal relationships with these people who had small businesses themselves over years, and I was honest and trustworthy. But the biggest one was the bank. So I owed $250,000 to the bank, and obviously didn't have a business. How was I going to pay this back? And I remember, and I told this story a couple of times, but so when I refinanced it was NAB. So when I refinanced to NAB, the person who was in the room with me, who was like being trained to be that business banker, was in the room with me when we refinanced the year before. Circle back to when I go into voluntary administration, she was the one who was in control.
Yeah.
Right? So she had gone up and been in control. So I had in talks with her about the cash flow challenges beforehand. And then when we went to liquidation, they were the second people we called after Bakes Delight. They sat on it for about 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then she rang me up and she said, Shaun, we're gonna forgive you of the debt.
Wow.
And I said, thank you. But I said, why?
Yeah.
And she goes, because no one comes to us before they close the doors and tries to refinance and tries to go through situations that you've been through and is honest with the situation you're in. I know if I do this, then you'll go bankrupt. I don't want to do that. I control it. We're forgiving you of the debt.
Wow.
So I was able to leave with nothing, which is both a really hard thing to take at times, but also a really good thing to take at times. Because if that was still hanging over my head, I mean, that was 17 odd years ago, 18 odd years ago, I'd probably still be paying it back, and it just means that so much of my life would have been affected in the negative way from that decision from that one person. So that taught me the power of relationships and the power of honesty before I was 30, which I think is a bloody good lesson. Anyway, so I got an opportunity to work with Bakes Delight in Canada for a short period, and I started to open up some bakeries for them. My partner at the time had a visa issue, so I had to come back. I worked for a coffee brand for probably the hardest 3 months of my life and got sacked, actually. I got sacked. And the one reason why I got sacked was because, and this would never fly, you'd probably both find this funny, was the fact that, and this is why I won't name them, but the fact that they said, we think we like female managers and we've never had a male manager before. and there were two guys who owned it. So we have to let you go just before your probation because we don't think we want that extra testosterone in the business.
Right.
And I was just obviously just floored and just really upset. And then I was looking for jobs for a period of time, and I was still in South Australia at this point. I'd come back, and I got an opportunity to work with Grilled before they were really a brand, and they picked me up when I was in South Australia, and they trained me in Victoria, and they had about 10 to 12 restaurants which they'd opened at this time. This was circa 2008.
Yep.
And then I trained in Melbourne, and then I went to Queensland for 5 years, nearly 6, and was a restaurant manager, area manager, and what they called a grill partner. So when you buy into a venue manager that buys into a restaurant for 3 years, you're supposed to get profitability back and whatnot. So I did that. That was a great period of my life. That's where I learned about scaling big teams, and the brand had gone from 80-seat venues being normal to I'd opened a 250-seat and helped a 300-seat venue open, like full bar service, like tap beers, like all this stuff, this evolution of brand, evolution of talent and how they treat their people, how they do marketing, all these different things have changed in the time I was there.
I think just just jump in. They I think their first restaurant's just around the corner from us in Hawthorn. I believe that's where their first one.
Hawthorn. Yeah. Glenferrie Road, I think. Glenferrie.
Yeah.
Which is also the first Bakes Delight, which is right next to them.
Ah, that is right. Yes, you are correct. Yes.
Yeah. I find it funny that my life started with two brands who are
that are next to each other.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. So I loved living in Brisbane for the time I was there. I like to say that the people are so laid back, they're horizontal. So I think it's just a great period of my life in a lot of ways, a lot of challenging times as well. Like I went through marriage and then a divorce in that time. Yeah. And then Bakes Delight, probably hinting that I probably wasn't in a good state, said, we'll buy you out of this restaurant contract, but can you go fix some restaurants in Perth? Okay. So I had some cousins in Perth, never lived in Perth, and said, sure, I'll go fix some things up in Perth. And I did that for 6 months. Really challenging, like the 2 hours or 2.5 hours time difference. You don't realize how much is a big difference when you live there.
Yeah.
And all your friends live on the East Coast. But I learned a lot about myself and how I manage and what to do and what not to do in those situations. So that was interesting. And then I decided I wanted to live and work in Melbourne. So that was in 2013. And I got an opportunity to go work with George Barris's group before it imploded, and stayed there 3 months and left. And because it culture-wise wasn't the fit for me.
Yeah.
And then I ran a bakery group for 12 months or so. I feel like I'm going for a job.
You've done it. You've done a lot.
I was just going to say, so I can get you've not lived in the Northern Territory or New South Wales?
New South Wales, yeah.
Is that right? Okay, and Tasmania. So you've done a good job.
That might be coming. Oh no, sorry, you haven't finished it. So yeah. Tick them all off.
Yeah. So I did that with the bakery group and finished that off after a year, and after that was Open Pantry Co, and now we help restaurants, cafes, pubs, bakeries all around Australia, either start up or scale up, and also play a lot in recruitment, obviously, which I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. That is a big story. And, there are obviously some no, it's not that it's long. It's just that, the different catalysts in your life as to, why you've decided to go down the path that you have, and the things that you've seen and experienced, and what is now evolving Open Pantry and how that works, because obviously you've had the opportunity to be at the very beginning, some disasters along the way, and then you've seen some really big success stories as well, with obviously Grilled and Baker's Delight is still those are really successful brands in this place. But you and I have in the past talked about the fact that the hospitality industry is a tough industry, and clearly it hasn't necessarily been super kind to you either. How does that inform the way you talk to the people that you consult with? Like, that's a big thing to be. Do you tell them? Do you say like, I've been in these bad positions, so I just want to make things better for you? Or, how does that inform the way you act and work?
I think when appropriate. I think the benefit in me, even though I'm a guest on your podcast today, is I'm very good at listening more than talking.
Mm-hmm.
So reading a room is really easy for me to do, sometimes at my detriment. So I know when to tell a story, when to pull it out, and when to just shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you hear the car accident story, and that is a very important story for certain people.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to take.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm meeting someone for the first time, or even a little bit. I don't know if someone that they knew has passed away in a car accident.
Yeah.
I don't want to trigger someone if that's not my intention,
Mm.
because then the story is about, I want the story to be for them, to help them, not about me.
Yeah.
So, but I think I'm in a very unique position. And I said this to my partner Diane last night, actually. I don't think there's many consultants, whether they be in hospitality or otherwise, who have been a business owner, who have had gone into liquidation, who have run independent groups, independent venues, but also systemized franchise groups.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm very unique in that skill set, which I know gives us the opportunity to add more value to our clients, because it's that learned behavior, and also the people that we work with on the bigger scale projects to do specialist work with us.
Yep.
I think we're in a really good position in that way to add a lot of value, which is why I try not to think about sometimes as a small business having the cash flow challenges that you do, because I know the long tail is we just want to help the industry grow sustainably, and therefore everything will be okay. It's just a matter of like making sure our business is sustainable too.
Yeah.
I think too, not that you wanted to go through those things, but those things, the experience and the tools you've developed based on those circumstances, those experiences you've had, it's so valuable, isn't it, in terms of what you do and how you can then translate that to the people that you're consulting to or giving advice to.
Yeah, I think especially it depends who the owner is, but if there's never been a more humbling experience than telling my parents that I'm going to go into liquidation and I don't know how I'm going to get their money back.
Mm-hmm.
And then going to a liquidator and trying to figure out how I'm going to keep all my staff and how I'm going to tell people. It's like ringing every staff member one by one, as I did.
Yes.
To tell them the situation does not get easier from the first phone call to the 20th.
No.
Yeah.
So those kind of situations, I think if you've been through that, then you can deal with pretty much anything.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much anything. So I've been in that way. I've been fortunate, even though that was an awful part of my life.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. You've got to use those experiences, no matter how awful they are or not, to be able to then use that in a positive way going forward.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, not to the extent of those sort of dramatic events like you, but the same with us and any business that, there's mistakes are made, things happen, some beyond your control. You've got to not dwell on them and get caught up in them for too long. Just, learn from them, move on, and then use those experiences for the betterment going forward. And we really instill that with who we talk to as well, that, it's okay to make mistakes or to have, I'm trying to think of the right term, but speed humps along the way. But ultimately if you've got the drive and you've got the right people around you, you can achieve good things.
Yeah. It's like the old saying, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough.
Agree.
Yeah. Yep. But if you're not learning from those mistakes along the way, then that's the problem.
Yeah. Correct.
So,
yes.
If your story, Shaun, had have been, went through all of that and then I did it all over again, and I went into liquidation twice and third and a fourth time, that we'd probably be sitting here saying, okay, so when's that going to stop? Like, clearly you need some better advisors, but you got to learn from the things that you do badly, and along the way it's okay. Like you will make 100 mistakes along the way in the first year. Like there'll be thousands and thousands of mistakes, and you've got to put them aside and just not do them again.
Yeah.
You've lived a lot of places. We just determined that. Back in Adelaide now, though, and when I started the conversation, I said the city of churches because that's what people think of Adelaide. But it's pretty much a sleepy hollow in comparison to like Melbourne or Sydney. I'm not sure about Brisbane. I haven't been to Brisbane for a while, but people know Adelaide as like a pretty quiet place. But the hospitality scene is obviously pretty good there. They've got a lot of really cool restaurants. I don't know if you watch Somebody Feed Phil, but I do. It's one of my absolute favourite shows on TV. And I love everything about what Phil Rosenthal does. And he went to Adelaide. He went to the Adelaide markets in his season 8. Oh, I hope I haven't told anybody. He went to Adelaide. And he went to the Adelaide markets, which I haven't been to for a long time. But, I know people who have been and said that it's really like a great place to go. And he went to a couple of restaurants in Adelaide. So it's obviously somewhere, like he didn't come to Melbourne. I bet you he did come to Melbourne. They do that in the filming. But he went to Adelaide. Of all the places he could have gone in Australia, he went to Sydney and he went to Adelaide. Why do you think that is? What is it about? Let's do the sales pitch for Adelaide now because I really want to go to Adelaide. We're going to get on the train at some point and train ourselves over there. Do me a sales pitch for Adelaide.
I think in regards with South Australia, the South Australian population is generally a very humble population.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put that into a hospitality venue, it just means it's going to be successful because you're always trying to do better. You're always trying to make things work. And when you're in a state which doesn't have the population of a Sydney, Melbourne, or a Brisbane,
mm-hmm.
you need to get things right from the start.
Yep.
So that means you need to really listen to your customer, really make sure you're understanding what to put on a menu, what not to put on a menu, and how to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, therefore, you've got these dynamic venues which have, to a large degree, smaller venues, right? So there was a small bar license which was brought in the late 2010s that changed the game in Adelaide and made sure that you had all these places that could sell great quality booze in smaller venues. That wasn't the case beforehand. So you've got little precincts like Peel Street or Lee Street in the city that are just meccas for amazing beverage and amazing experiences. So if you're able to have those smaller venues and you're coming from interstate, then you're able to go and have a night out and go to 3 or 4 venues in a night and have different experiences. And that's something quite often my partner and Diane will do because I'm not in Sydney and I'm going to Surrey Hills and then I'm going to go to Redfern and then I'm going to go to the CBD. Like, good luck. That's like 3 hours probably moving around.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a whole lot of tolls, right? So there's no tolls in Adelaide as well, which is a great thing. But if I go between Norwood on the sort of inner city and then I go in the CBD and then I might spend a couple of things and then go to North Adelaide, then I'm able to do that in a couple of hours, spend half an hour at each venue. So I'm able to bar hop or venue hop quite easily and have different experiences. Very multicultural society, probably not to the depths of Melbourne, but there's a big African population here. There's a big Middle Eastern population here. Obviously Italian and Greek populations, which are, one of the first immigrant populations in South Australia, which is why we have such a good food market in Adelaide Central Market. It's by far the best fresh food market in the country, by far. It is so much better than Queen Vic. I can't even tell you how much better. And it's about to get better with the redevelopment next year. And I'm not sounding humble, but
it's okay. I told you to do the sale, so.
But it is a humble place. Best seafood in the country, best wines in the country. We're really good at talking about and caring about ourselves, as in South Australian produce, and making sure we do it better. My parents have had a citrus property in the Riverland for all my life. Growing amazing quality oranges and used to be lemons and a whole lot of different things. So I know produce. I know how hard it is, but it's just a place that punches above its weight. That's probably just the simplest thing to say. And I'd say that in areas like, I think Perth is a classic example that does the same. Tasmania is incredible for food and beverage. Newcastle, like there's places like this which are smaller, but just because they have to work harder to get a customer and be a sustainable business, they're just bloody better. Like it's just, I can't put it any other way.
Yeah. We recently did a road trip. We are road trippers. Our family loves a road trip, and we recently did a road trip from Melbourne up to Mollymook in New South Wales. And the purpose of that was to get out of, the big cities and just go and eat somewhere at whatever bakery or whatever cafe or whatever pub and stuff. And I think there's a lot of value in, those really easy, it's right at our back door kind of things. And as you said, there's some smaller towns that have really high quality food. And you're right, you've got to attract people somehow. And the way to do it is to have a really great pub or a really great bakery. I mean, one of the things that Australians do really well is promote a bakery, like, we're the bakery that has the best sausage roll, or we're the bakery that has the best vanilla slice and stuff like that. And it's kind of an attraction for the town, right? It's like people will go to this place because the bakery has the best sausage roll in the country. Back to Adelaide though. If I'm coming to Adelaide, which I plan to, and as I said, it'll be a rail trip, probably not a road trip, where am I going? Give me bakery, pub, restaurant, where am I getting my coffee? Remembering I'm a Melburnian and coffee is really important.
Okay, cool. All right, let's do coffee first. I'll go Exchange, which is Exchange Cafe, which is in the east end of the city. Just off Rundle Street. They sell Market Lane coffee, which obviously Melburnians know really well.
Okay, that's good.
They do it exceptionally well. One of the most consistent coffee experiences in Adelaide, bar none. Got rated one of the top 50 cafes in the world.
Wow.
Like, it's just unbelievable.
Yep, awesome.
I could be wrong. It could be the top 10, but anyway, it's a very good cafe. Brewery next. I would go, God, there's so many. Coopers have spent a whole heap of money on a new brewery that they've done, because they brew Cooper's beer in South Australia. So they've done an amalgamation with ALH Group, which is obviously a massive group, at their site, but I haven't been there yet. But I hear it's incredible. So there's two breweries I'd probably go to. One's Bowden. So in Bowden, so Bowden Brewing, amazing selection of tap beers, really inventive. They did a purple beer, like they've done a lot of sours. The mark of a really good brewery is one that can do really great sour beer for me. And that's from the team at Big Easy Group, which have a number of different hospitality venues in Adelaide which just kill it, and they just get it right. Or Yellow Matter Brewing, which is in a suburb called Brooklyn Park. Great female founder, amazing beers, great pizzas. Those two. What was the other one you asked me? Bakery?
Bakery, yep. Knowing that we love a sausage roll and a vanilla slice, which is why I said those two things. So
okay, there's probably one that I go to semi-regularly called Jenny's Bakery, which is near Frueville, which is an amazing, beautiful bakery. Very consistent. There's quite a lot here, though.
Yep.
By way of population, nothing like Melbourne. There's not one venue just doing cake.
You can't go somewhere and line up for 4 hours to get a scroll, is what you're saying to me.
That level yet. There's also another one in the hills, which I haven't been to yet, called Banana Boogie Bakery, which wins every single award for vanilla slice and sausage rolls. So there you go.
Yeah, okay, well,
done.
That's
done. Yep.
You're done.
Restaurant-wise, I think RK in Norwood is probably one of the best restaurants in the country right now. Over fire, incredible produce, incredible experience. So definitely RK, but like Fugazi. Oh wow, there's a number of different restaurants. It just depends what your flavor is. But there's ones that are very, like, just give you good value for money, and I think that's really the important part of hospitality right now, especially when you go to restaurants, is the value for money part, not necessarily just how much you're going to pay,
Yep.
But is the amount of money worth the value exchange and the experience that I'm going to get is the most important. And I think Adelaide just does that much better.
Yeah. Did we cover everything there?
I think so.
Yeah, yes. I haven't got anything on the list.
And nothing in terms of wine, favourite wine?
Yeah, which winery am I going to? If I had to choose one, just one, which one would you recommend?
Oh, that's a great question. Come back to me on that. I'll give you a name before we finish. I'm just trying to think.
That's fine. Yeah. And the Adelaide City market's a big call to say I'm a Melburnian and I'm not a huge fan of the Queen Vic market either, but there's a couple of smaller markets around that I really love, and I think that's probably why you're saying the Adelaide market is better, because they're smaller. They have the sort of more unique produce. Like we were at the Paran market a couple of weeks ago, and there's a guy there that just focuses on like mushrooms and all the different types of mushrooms that you can get. And he gets white asparagus in when it's white asparagus season. So it's a little bit unique. It's not just the same, you don't have 35 butchers and whatever. It's pretty specialised. And the vision that I saw on the episode from Somebody Feed Phil was that it's a really sort of intimate but beautiful space. Like you want to go there and shop.
I have a saying, and we use this a lot with the clients we work with for recruitment, but it's small enough but big enough.
Yeah.
So it's small enough to be really knowledgeable and big enough to have the range that you want.
Yep.
And it's also price competitive.
Yeah,
so nothing's worse than like a really bougie market that is just selling things at like 3x or 4x or whatever, because they can get hype about it. Like I hate that stuff. I want to, like, food is something you eat every day. So therefore, if I'm going to go get staples, especially fruit and veg, it's important that you get consistent pricing, consistent quality. And, we're lucky, not as lucky as places like Queensland, which have a much closer food bowl to the city centres. But we're very, very lucky here in regards with the Adelaide Hills and different areas around the city that we're able to get great produce.
Yeah.
And therefore, we're able to get good prices. So, I think hands down, it's an amazing market. I think also because going back to the start of this episode, I talked about working in Bakes Delight. The second bakery I worked in was at Adelaide Central Market.
Yep.
So I worked in Adelaide Central Market for well over 12 months. Every day, got to know everyone and understand the connection, how hard it is, the rewards it can bring, but also like there's not many people in this world who work harder than people wwho work in fruit and veg market stalls.
Yeah.
So, it's a pretty hard game.
Yeah. And you and I have talked about the fact that it's about people. And I think those smaller markets are really about people. Like you can go to a smaller market like that and really have a relationship with the person that is providing the food for you, which is really important. I think we've lost that as a society, haven't we? That not typically going to your local greengrocer or your local butcher anymore. Everything is mass. We're at supermarkets and all of that sort of stuff. There's an element of bringing it back to I get my dips and my bread from this person who has made it in their, with their hands in their shop. And that's super important in hospitality, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I have a joke that most people know their barista better than they know most people in their family. And even you saying like the mushroom guy, like you're not even thinking mushrooms, you're thinking the mushroom guy before. So therefore, if he has to put his price up by like $3 a kilo because there's been something that's happened in regards to the supply chain, you're probably more likely to still buy from him because you've had those conversations with the mushroom guy rather than going to Woolworths or going to Coles.
100%. And we've got our real life example of exactly that, Shaun, is that we go to a local cafe, one here in Camberwell, and we spread the love as well. We do go to a lot of local cafes. Like I have coffee every day and we spread it around. But this one in particular where they make something that's really specific and Shane loves it. And so we go there pretty regularly. We're there, 2 or 3 times a week to get this. And I get a coffee. It's a chocolate milkshake, but it's made using Lindt chocolate, and it's really next level.
And the way he does it, it's just
it's next level.
Yes.
We have people who come interstate and they're like, "Can you please take us to that cafe so that we can have that chocolate milkshake?" But Shane had a conversation with the owner there the other day, and he is the sort of person who writes your actual name on the coffee cup, and he puts a love heart, and he asks about how you are and what your day has been and how's work and is it busy and you're going away on holidays. Like Shane and Emily went away on holidays, and he collects this man who owns the cafe collects magnets, and people bring them magnets from their holidays to bring back. So they did. And he was talking to Shane the other day about the price of things, because he's quite cheap in the area for coffee and his milkshakes. And he knows that Shane's an accountant. So he said, what do you think? I'm a bit nervous about putting the price up. And Shane and I were driving somewhere while he was drinking his milkshake, and we both said it actually wouldn't matter to us how much he put the prices up on the milkshake or the coffee. We would still buy it because we don't go there for the milkshake or the coffee anymore. It's one element of it, but we go there because he knows us. He asks about the family. He's developed what is really an important relationship, and everyone who walks in his door, he knows their name. So if you're standing up at the counter and someone walks in, he knows who it is that's walked in. So we're no longer buying a product for him. We're buying an experience from him. So it's so important. Lots of venues forget that.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing to think about in regards with pricing, and I know we've talked about this before, I've been very fortunate to have the situations I've had when I've had them. In regards with Bakes Delight, I've never seen a customer more irate on small increases than at Bakes Delight. So when we put price of rolls up 5 cents a roll, wow, that was one of my worst days in my 11 years of Bakes Delight. Just getting slammed, and then you have to bring in the personal connection with a customer, because you don't know where they're at. Like that 5 cents a roll might be one thing which tipped them over, which means they can't afford it for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
So what can we do in order to make sure that your experience is still good? Can we sell you on a block loaf or something like that, which is more value, but still gives you the same experience? I just want to sort this out. But there's so many situations in which we gave people free bread or something like that, just because I just want to smooth it over, because you don't know where that person is. And I remember the connection with customers, and bakers are a good example because we go to them every day. And I had this customer who would come in every day, and he'd spend about $7 or $8 every day. Not a big spender, but enough, right? When you add that up, it's over $1,500 a year. And he was lovely every day. And then one morning, he came in and he was really shirty, and he had to go at one of my team. And it was really weird, but he looked really tired. And then I was there, later on that afternoon as well. This was early in the morning. I was later thinking about that 80, 100 hours a week I was working. I was still there. And he came in afterwards in the afternoon just to see me. And he's like, and he pulled me aside and he said, "Shaun, I just want to apologize." And I said, "Granted." I said, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, my daughter went to hospital. I've been there emergency all night. It was an awful night, but I shouldn't have taken out on your team." I said, "John," I said, "you don't need to apologize to me. You need to apologize to my staff."
Yes.
Yeah.
So then, because he had personal relationships with pretty much everyone, and everyone knew his name and all that stuff, I told him when that person was on the roster next. And he came back and apologized to her straight away. It's those kind of connections you can have in hospitality, which you don't give a shit about the price. That situation means that he goes home happier. He lifts that worry off his shoulders. He knows we're in a good place. That's what hospitality can bring that not a lot of other industries can bring. And I think that's just an awesome thing. So price rise is just part of it. You're going to take it no matter what you put your price up to.
Yes.
Just make sure you're financially sustainable,
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We could talk about this a lot because there's so much that we can cover with hospitality, and I'm very keen to pick your brains again about all the different places that you've eaten at or places that you wouldn't eat at again and all of that. Maybe we'll take that one offline so that you don't make anybody in the industry upset. We will share everything about you with regard to the business because we haven't really spoken about it. There is another podcast episode where I talk to Shaun about his business and what he does. So if anybody is interested and you're in the hospitality industry and you're keen for some advice or some ongoing support, Shaun is your guy. So we'll share all of those details as part of this podcast as well. And if you would come back and we'll talk about some other things because there's so many things that we could talk about. And we'll have you again on the show, whether it's Q&A with S&A or the other podcast, Shaun. It would be great. And it's been terrific to have you today in the studio online. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Andrea. Thanks, Shane.
Great.
Thank you.